Like, who's ODB?
I don't give a f***. I'm literally in the back of a cop car handcuffed for a while. You need a name that people can chant, get behind. ODB, one dirty bitch. Show us that you're a dirty bitch. And I was like, oh women's wrestling. This is awesome. If you're a woman, don't wrestle like a man with boobs, drinking Milwaukee's Best, the Beast. Good Lord. Jump out the top rope, give her a Corona.
Why didn't you do the Hurricane Run and we call it the Hurricane Corona?
I didn't know where I was gonna sleep, where I was gonna live. A lot of people are scared of that. I wanted change. I wanted to make it.
In that early run of your career, what was the biggest obstacle you encountered?
That I was different. I didn't look like the other girls. Guys like, man, she could have a beer with me, and then the wife would be like, hell yeah, she could. And that's when the OVW Women's Championship started, because all of us worked together to get it out there. And then you see Alicia Fox, the Kelly, who the f are these two? Johnny Ace is walking in, didn't even give me the time of day. Obviously, I wasn't as tight. WWE watched our TV, and they're like, why is this girl on TV and she's not under contract? I was like, then sign her. And that's when Cody Rhodes came in, and he became a locker room leader. Like, we were ripping each other. Remember when we all got Ryback arrested? Bam, 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 tip up, I don't even know what my finisher was. I'm blowing up just talking about it. They let me say that.
Wow, talk about unsavory. Do not attempt to walk straight or adjust your gait. This is LiMPiNAiNTEASY. I am your Handi-Captivating host. My name is Timmy Baltimore. Hey, what are you doing? Get on the short bus. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe. For you, it's just pressing a button. For me, it's my whole thing here. It's all I got. And all you got to do is press a button. I'm not too proud to shake down the audience. Anyway, my guest today, man, I love this woman. I mean, if I had to rank some of the coolest people that I've been in contact with in the industry, and people that been in the trenches with and have just a real special bond, she is a TNA Knockouts legend, and just a legend in and of herself. The ODB. What's up?
Bam! What's up?
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for having me.
You know, I think we'll get into it a little bit. Our background really is in OVW, and you really had quite a legacy there. You really had a footprint that was like, I remember some of the hottest angles that were going on at that time involved you. And that's, of course, not where your story started. I guess let's get right into it here. Jesse, ODB, what's important to you and why?
Being a freaking good person. That's always been my thing. Even like just to getting into wrestling, because I mean, wrestling, there's a lot of shady people. But there's also a lot of kick-ass people in this business. And that's who I always go to, attract myself to. And someone like you, when we met in OVW, like that group of people were, even though a lot of us went our separate ways, but when we see each other, it's like freaking old times. But that to me is just being a good old person, going after what you want, stay true to yourself. That was always a big thing to me, obviously, because that's, what got me to where I'm at now, staying true to myself. I didn't listen to the corporate people. I didn't,
Yeah.
Who knows where I would be if I would have done that.
I want to ask you about that, because I look back at this time at that time in OVW, and we were really actually pretty lucky that there was a place where if you went and you got over and you figured it out, you could get a shot. Lord knows, you did all those things, but your path was just different. And I think looking back on that, we were really lucky to have it. It taught us a whole lot. But at the same time, I remember feeling like I was really a lot of times compromising what I felt was good or what I should be doing or what was in my heart for, oh, well, what do they want? What do they want up there? What is,
Right.
and by they, him, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, Jesse, about your childhood and growing up.
Oh God. Growing up, I had a fairy tale childhood. Mom and dad, and then I had an older brother, and lived in the burbs in Minnesota, and just a great, like we took vacations, we actually did the National Lampoon's Chevy Chase Vacation before National Lampoon's aired. So we packed up the Ram Charger from Minnesota to Florida. We took it. I mean, made some awesome stops, kind of like Chevy Chase did, and yeah, I mean, then Disney World became our whole family vacation, and yeah, I grew. I mean, and then of course wrestling was obviously involved. My parents' first date was actually an AWA show at the Minneapolis Armory. Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my mom had a picture, and I was looking at this picture. I'm like, who is this wrestler? And I'm like, I'm looking. I'm like, I got to try to find this. And I was like Googling for a while, and I'm like, it was Rene Goulet, and he actually beat Ric Flair that night in 1973.
What? That's
what crazy. Other chicken wrestling would know that, right?
Right. The old Nature Boy doing the honors for Rene Goulet up in the Minnesota territory.
Right.
Rene Goulet, he was an agent for a real long time.
Right.
You'd always see him in the pull aparts and stuff in the 80s. He had the glove. That just kind of seems like, I got nothing. What do I do? Try the glove. Okay, I guess I have a glove.
Watch out.
We've seen that a million times, haven't we? So there's no doubt. I don't think I ever made this connection because sometimes when you're so close to a person, you don't study their story, right?
Yeah,
so
we forget to interview each other.
Right, we forgot to interview.
Yeah.
Our interviews consisted of you looking backseat going, Baltimore, are you going to puke in here or out the car? So
we're building territories.
But yeah, exactly. So you grow up though in an area that is just known for badass workers, like real black and blue style badasses that can go, and I don't think any of them would hesitate to add you to that list. Can you tell me what your earliest wrestling memories were and how you started to get into the business, what that looked like?
I did. We actually went to a show, St. Paul Armory, which I ended up, wrestling in my earlier days. And a friend of our family was actually a referee. So he's like, oh, come on out to the show. You can meet some wrestlers. And my very first wrestler I met was Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. And I wish I had the picture. Of course, we didn't have cell phones back then, so it's got to be at my parents' house somewhere. But yeah, it was just cool. I was just like a little girl, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. I'm like, this is awesome. And then also, too, like going and like the gym was a very popular place. Is where all the guys worked out, like Demolition, Road Warriors, Larry Zbyszko. And then if anyone was in town, that's where they would go, and they would do some, I've heard some stories from Road Warrior Animal, what they were doing there and stuff. So, like, of course, my parents would bring us to the gym, hoping wrestlers would, Larry Zbyszko was a dick, but he's an awesome guy. He was like, get out of here, kid. So
I can totally see that.
Love you, Larry. But then Barry Darso from Demolition Smash came up, and we actually were dressed alike. We both had our Zubas on. I had my Venice Beach muscle shirt on, and I actually have that picture. I did put. I've actually posted that picture of me and him, and I think I might have had a mullet, but I don't know. But it was. But he's one of. he's one of, you know, the coolest people that I've met. He's very, every time we see each other, it's Minnesota connected, you know, it's just awesome. Him and
Yeah.
Bill are good people.
So
Yeah.
if you're wondering, if you say I might have had a mullet, you probably had a mullet. I don't know.
And a perm.
I can't quite remember. You probably did. It's okay. We'll solve that mystery right now. So, you know, you're the gym culture. Obviously, you're a part of that. I remember. You probably don't remember the first time we met. It was very brief, very quick. At one of those Philadelphia women's extreme shows, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we needn't dive too far into this.
Yeah. We got paid good doing those shows.
Yeah, I know.
Back then, that was good pay.
Right. Well, for you,
Like, you're
yeah.
gonna
No.
fly us? I think that was the first promotion that actually flew me and Angel Williams, Angelina Love.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember meeting you both at that. It was at that God, what is it? Something room in Philadelphia, the electric room.
Mine was an old, the factory.
Electric factory
Sounds familiar, yeah. Man.
But you would separate. You immediately, like, in my opinion, were different. You would number one because of the name. The name was so bold. Right. I remember because Mickie James telling me, "Have you met the ODB?" And I go, "What? The what? Have I met the ODB?" Because I was a huge Wu-Tang fan. I'm going. There's the one dirty bitch, and I go, but I need to. Yeah. So you were totally into like fitness and everything. Tell me how that translated. So you the gym culture. Here comes the axe. Here comes the smasher. Barry Darso takes a liking to you. And where does the training start? Where do you go? What does that look like?
I just liked it. I just loved. Actually, before wrestling, I wanted to be an American Gladiator. I just loved, like, I watched that show every morning on Saturday, and I was like, the women were just huge. I'm like, damn, I want to look like that. So of course, I bought I think my mom in the basement had like one of those little trampolines, like, remember they were jazzercise things or something, yeah. And then like little weights. I mean, I didn't have like a weight set or nothing, but just did my push-ups, ate my Wheaties and that stuff. And then once I got a little older, like in high school, I started going, bench press. And I don't know if my name's still up there now, but it should be. I actually bench pressed, I think I want to say like 150 or 160 in freaking high school. But I wasn't like a big, I was always been like a muscular, kid growing up. But I look back at I was kind of skinny, but wasn't petite. But I just always had that power in me. And then, of course, my locker was filled with wrestling posters.
What attracted you to that kind of lifestyle of wanting to the fitness and to, look strong, be strong physically?
Yeah, I think just looking good. Like, even now, when you look good, you feel good, you're mentally, physically good. And I think just growing up, seeing that, especially going to a live wrestling show, you see these people that are larger than life. And I'm like, damn, I wanted that. But I didn't know how to get it. I was like, you can't be one of these people. Like, like, didn't understand it yet. I was like, man, these guys. And I wasn't into the women's wrestling quite yet. I was just focused on, because you're talking the 80s. I was just focused on the 80s wrestling, the glamour of it. Well, the glamour that you see in the ring behind the curtain, but like just like the presence they had, like the Honky Tonk Man coming out, Jake. And they all had different stories. That's what attracted me to wrestling, like all the different stories. And then kind of Scary Sherry and Miss Elizabeth were the two women that I looked at, and I was like, wow, one is very elegant, and one is don't mess with that bitch.
So Rockin' Robin did nothing for you back then.
No, sorry.
I know, just messing around. But like, I that's really interesting because you made me think of this, that in the 80s, oftentimes the way women were featured, you weren't given many choices. It's like, do you like this evil, wicked witch of the West, or do you love
this,
this,
or Glinda.
do no wrong?
Yeah.
Right. So I also love what you did that so many people, it boggles my mind that they don't do it. I want to be a wrestler. I love wrestling. I want to be American Gladiator. I love American Gladiators. You looked at it and you go, look how they look. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know at least I got to kind of look like that, some way, shape, or form.
You think more people would think that? Yeah.
It's a real problem with the industry, and I think it's only getting worse. Anyway, that's another talk for another
That's
time.
another show.
Yeah.
That's part two.
What about your training? Where did you go?
Wrestling training. I went. Well, the whole thing started out where I tried out. I was watching WWF SmackDown at the time, and Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross were talking about, you think you're tough enough to become a WWF superstar? And I'm like, yeah. So I was like,
hey, bitch, you think you're tough enough, Jesse?
like they're
Dare
talking
you do it?
And that was in 2000. So then I'm like, all right, so we got the VHS out. My brother taped me, and I actually already called myself ODB. My brother gave me the name.
God
And
bless
he's
you.
like, you need if you're really true, like serious about becoming a wrestler, he's like, you need a name that people can chant, get behind. ODB, one dirty bitch. Sounds awesome. So I'm like, all right, I'll go with it. Of course, back then, obviously, the character wasn't developed. I was just, just trying it out. And then I got a call from, I believe it was MTV, because MTV and WWF were doing that reality show, and they sent me to New York. So my parents came to New York City with me, and that's when they had the WWF restaurant. So we were there, and I think it was like 200 of us, and I made it to the top 25.
No shit. So it's like a cattle call, and you got to the top.
So when I actually got to step, I think that was like the only time I got to step foot in the WWF ring, and you see Mick Foley, Al Snow, Taz, Miss Jacqueline Moore all up there, and then Big from WWE, and they're like, okay, you had to cut up promo. Well, first they want to get after you. They want to like blow you up first. So they made me like shuffle across the ring, and I think I had a jump rope, and they're like, cut a promo. And then I did it, and I called myself ODB, one dirty bitch. And then and they really liked it. And then Al Snow, actually, and then he came back around in my life, and then he remembered, and he doesn't have a good memory, I don't think. He actually remembered me out of all those people. He's like, I remember you. He's like, then Stephanie McMahon came out, announced the 12 winners that were going to go into the Tough Enough house, and then I just got sent home. They literally said, okay, you guys go. Yeah. And then after that, I was like, I want to do this. I want to do it the hard way.
You make the decision. You're going for it. It really probably lit a fire, I imagine, because what a weird situation, right? I just want to ask you this. Like, people, I don't think understand, because we've done this many a time, right? Whether it's the writers coming down to OVW, Shawn and Hunter coming over, or Shawn Michaels and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, for reference, or whomever, shot callers, Tough Enough, that crew, to stand in the center of the ring with an audience that isn't there to react.
Yeah.
They're there with your whatever in the palm of their hands. Was it nerve-wracking and awkward? How did you get through that one? You just stick to the script?
I think it's fun, yeah, because memorizing my promo and stuff, and I just went in there and just did it. I didn't, because I think when I wasn't in the business yet at all, I think you think differently. Not like, I don't give a who you guys are, but not like, stuff like that. But, I didn't know. I mean, obviously I knew who they all were and stuff, but they didn't intimidate me. I think that was the thing.
They didn't.
They didn't.
So you were too naive to be intimidated, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what do I got to lose? I'm like, I'm just here for this shot and see what happens, I guess. I mean,
right.
Damn.
So you got close, no cigar. That sends you invigorated back home out of New York with the folks. And it's time to go learn how to take back bumps? Where do you go? What do you do?
Went on the old IBM computer and Googled, and Eddie Sharkey popped up. He is a trainer. He introduced, Road Warriors, Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, Medusa. And then he was just with like a local company. I think they're MPW was the promotion back then. And they were just like in a warehouse, like literally a storage facility, I want to say, with a ring. And I show up there, and Sean Devari's there. Austin Aries was there. And I walk in like, I just got off Tough Enough. Don't
mind me. Don't mind me. Yeah. Just over.
Yeah. And then he's just like, hey, kid. He's like, you want to be a wrestler? I'm like, yep. He's like, you got some money for me? I'm like, of course. So Eddie Sharkey, just sits in his lawn chair and watches everyone. And, and right away, like, it wasn't like just jump in the ring and, and take bumps, but also the respect of the business, He's like, I remember a couple things he said to me. He's like, hide your wallet and be respectful. Listen, keep your mouth shut. And that's, I did that for a while.
What kind of trainer was he? Was he like, do you remember, everybody's different. You take things from everybody. What were some of the things besides hide your wallet and listen that you took from
I think he wasn't like he would just like go in there and just show I'm trying to think like what kind of, he was just very I'm even trying to even think of how so it wasn't about the moves. I mean, I remember I think I chopped one time like for a whole session of one of the wrestling practices. And it wasn't about, jump out the top ropes, give her a Corona, whatever, and do all that shit. Even though I could do them, I just didn't do them. And
why didn't we name one of you do the Hurricane Corona and we call it the Hurricane Corona? I just thought of that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It out. But that too, it just taught me like about the industry, I guess, like, and then because I remember too, and after like practice, me, Sean Devari, and then Eric Cannon was also in our group. He does, he's a very good promoter in Minnesota with One Wrestling.
Been around for a long time.
Yeah. So three of us, we'd go to Subway afterwards and we'd talk shop. We'd talk wrestling, and it was, I think we did that for a long time, for like at least, for a while. So yeah, just talk. I don't know. It was a different kind of bit. It wasn't, I don't know, just I guess different.
It was different back then. I think, we started relatively similar times, and there was my first break really was Mickie taking me along with her and Bobby Joe Persephone out of Virginia, right? Yeah. Because there weren't, how many girls could actually work? You guys were, right. There was a handful. The rest, and I'm not trying to be rude, but we're the promoter's girlfriends or so-and-so's girlfriend.
There's a lot of those, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to first get your feet out in front of you and hit the indies, what the scene looked like at that time?
Yeah, because I remember starting in Minnesota, and then I did like the Wisconsin scene. Because like in 2001, I had my first match, and then like I wrestled Davari forever, like because he was like the same size. Actually, I was probably bigger than him, and we would just go in the ring, and he's like, just listen to me in the ring. I'm like, okay. So we would do that match all around, and then finally got a group of the guys and me. And we'd travel, and then I think after I got out of Minnesota, because then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 2003 to pursue TNA at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And that's where I met Tracy Brooks, and then started meeting Angelina Love, and then, actually Velvet Sky, all my Hall of Fame friends. And then I met Mickie, and then we all kind of like, and I was like, oh, shit, women's wrestling. This is awesome. So from 2003 till about, and then, so that 2 years, 2003 to 2005, right before I got to OVW, I think that 2 years was just like, it was all about women's wrestling. And then I got to meet a lot more girls, and I was like, oh damn, this is pretty cool.
That's really neat. Like that's, looking back on the chapters of your life, your career, how far you've come. I always say the people who have it, the people that are hungry, you could drop them in any era, anytime. They'll figure it out. They'll make it happen. And you finding kind of people to help, each other up each other's game. You always seem to have the courage to move and go where the action was. TNA prompted you to go to Nashville. What was that scene like early on, and what kind of adversities or obstacles did you encounter?
Yeah, because I started going when I still lived in Minnesota. There was a group of us. It was Ken Anderson, Davari, even Colt Cabana was there, and Aries, and we would all drive. Like we'd come from Minnesota, pick people up in Chicago, and head to Nashville for TNA when they were still at the fairgrounds. And that was probably 02 I started going there. And then I don't know why I just in 03 I'm kind of thinking I just did it on my own. I was like, what's it gotta hurt? My parents always supported me, packed up my truck, and I wasn't afraid to, like, I don't know. Looking back, I was like, I did some like kind of probably not the smartest things, but like just driving around just by myself, like what the sleeping at truck stops, like
Right.
I kind of cringe sometimes. I'm like, ugh.
You made it though.
Yeah, I did it, and then I didn't know where I was gonna sleep. I didn't know where I was gonna live. Like, and a lot of people are scared of that. Still, they don't like change, and I wanted change. I wanted to make it. I'm like, they ain't coming to me, so I got to go after and be seen. And at the time, TNA was just using like cage dancers, and then they would use girls like Trinity once in a while, and then they threw me in the mix. And then Tracy was there; she was managing a lot. And then once I got there, she's like, "Do you have a place to stay?" I'm like, "No, I was hoping I could. I don't know, gotta stay with you."
I was hoping you'd ask me that.
So then she was staying with other people, so then I got to stay in the apartment we all were at, and then from 03 until like 07 or 08, me and Tracy Brooks were like BFFs, living together, and just topping here and there. And so, what was the question? I forget.
So at in that early run of your career, what was the biggest obstacle you encountered?
That I was different.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the main thing. It wasn't. Yeah, obviously my wrestling ability. It was. I look back, I'm like, I was kind of technical, and then as I got down the road and then into TNA, I wasn't the most technical wrestler. Not that I couldn't. It's just that wasn't what I kind of which OVW helped me with that. Because don't wrestle like a man with boobs. Al would always say.
Because you were so different, you knew in your heart you're not going to change that. Or did you ever think about, well, maybe I should, like, what can I do to, like, you know what I'm saying? That's really tricky when you feel like the industry is going, hey, we know you're you and you're great, but you're just not our great. Like, it's like, what? How did you process that early on?
I did so in 03. 03 was kind of like the big year, like kind of, it was the year I just said F it and took off. And that's when I started looking at the girls, because, you had, Lita, Trish, all them, and Jazz. And Jazz, I looked at, I'm like, well, she's the buff one. She's, Lita has the tattoos. I had like 2 tattoos back then. And then, but then I didn't have the BAM yet. So
the gimmicks.
I was like, all right. I asked my parents for money. They said, nope. So I figured it out and get a little payment plan from the doctor. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's, so I got my, my BAM going, and me and Angelina Love, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing the story, but she got him like 2 weeks before me, and then I got him 2 weeks after her. And then we, so I think that might have helped too a little bit, just kind of, and to me, like, I think me personally getting implants helped me personally because having like a more sexier, deeper voice, it made me more confident about myself. Having
Yeah.
the fun bags.
Yeah, because it's in today's day and age, it's such like touch and go with the aesthetics and but it's one of those things where this is an aesthetic business and you got
Yeah,
to look at who you're selling
yeah. I mean,
what
yeah,
to, right?
right.
And goddamn, you figured it out, girl. Uh, so, what prompted you while in Nashville to then say there's better opportunities in Louisville, Kentucky?
Well, then I was doing. I mean, me and Tracy were making a decent, living. Back. So our rent was very cheap, and then we were doing indies every freaking weekend. We were booked solid, and then kind of developing that like I already know where to pause on
Rapport?
that. So like when we were doing all these indies, then that's when I met up with Al Snow, and then he was like what's your plans? Do you have anything holding you back on anything? Do you have to be home? Do you have to, I'm like, I'm living in Nashville on someone's couch, me and Tracy Brooks. We're trying to, figure it out. And then he's like, well, let me see what I can do. He's like, you need to be seen. I'm like, okay. So then we exchanged numbers. I think, yeah, I had a cell phone then. And then, or email, whatever we had. And he's like, this is what I can do. He's like, come to Louisville. Like, he's like, I can't promise anything, but I can promise you I'm going to talk to Danny Davis and see what we can do to get you into one of the classes. And if it was at Rip's class or not, but I was scared of him. So I was like, oh, shit. So then once again, packed up my shit, went to Louisville, and yeah, I had no idea what course where I was living, of course, when I showed up. So I literally showed up for a TV taping. So it's like I look back, I'm like, wasn't I nervous? Wasn't I like just walking in and like in front of these people that are, about to get called up in WWF, and I'm just walking in. I was like, oh, but I knew some people there. So then we all went out, had dinner and stuff, and I was like, well, come to class tomorrow, and then Danny Davis was scary to like go and talk to. He was very intense. So, so I go in, in the office, and he's like, all right, talk to Al Snow about this. He's like, I see something in you. And he's like, we're going to give you a shot. He's like, but we want you to do some of Rip's classes. So I think I did 1 or 2 classes. And then Al's like, I want her in the contracted class. I was like, I think it'll be good for her. And I don't think I paid any money to be there. I didn't have any. So
That wouldn't have worked out, right? Yeah,
like,
there was like a handful of people that had kind of fortunate circumstances that were there on their own dime. I was in a similar situation. Same like intimidation.
I think
I don't.
Phoenix too had,
Yeah.
that Phoenix kind of showed up too, and
Yeah. It was like I felt really blessed to and to be able to attend the classes, attend the opportunities, work my way up from the dark match. Like my no, because here's the thing, no one was like out looking for a handicapped announcer. So I had to push for myself in the sense that like yeah, somebody would give me a chance or compliment me, and I'd ask for more. Oh, you like that? Can I do the dark matches? Oh, this can I now do ring announcing on TV and such? And moving forward, it was kind of a process
the
like that.
OVW contest.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. There was nobody like I looked around at the announcers. I go, I'm gonna smoke everybody. Like that's it. And I came with that mentality. It was really one hell of an experience, one hell of a ride. Do you remember when you felt like walking into OVW, maybe you had some butterflies, and then when you finally it clicked, and you were like, "Wow, this it's working here."
Yeah, I think like kind of when I jumped into the contracted class, because you got Nick Nemeth was there, Punk, Mickie I think just got called up. Beth was just getting called up. And it was just, you walk into this and I'm like, wow, this is like the future. I'm like, shit. And I knew Punk too from, the indie days. And it's just like you see, and then I think the Miz was there for just a week, and then his ass got called up. And I'm like, okay, I'm here. It was, there was times where I'm just like, shit. But then some of these other girls that were coming in, I was like, all right, I got this. Like, I've been wrestling, I've been wrestling for 5 years. So, you'd think a little bit of the business. And
that was an interesting variable, right? Because all of a sudden they threw like 19-year-old models from catalogs that had never even watched wrestling. And like, remember the day when Alicia Fox, Victoria Crawford, and Kelly showed
I remember
up?
the day they walked in, because me and Serena, the two non-contract girls, kind of helped that division. Because I remember, because they didn't have an OVW title yet.
No.
And they're like, we want, so it was me and Serena. I was the heel, she was the big baby face, and then I made up the title with the help of Beth Phoenix. We all bedazzled the title. And then we became, and that's when the OVW Women's Championship started, because all of us worked together to get it out there. And then you see these, so we're building this division up, and then you see, Alicia Fox, Victoria, and Kelly coming in. I'm like, who the are these two? Johnny Ace is walking in with them. I'm like, all right. I remember, when he would come he didn't even give me the time or day. I guess obviously I wasn't his type. So.
No, he wasn't. He was not too pleasant unless you worked there, and even then,
right.
It was that's the thing too. You like, I remember you and Beth and Serena, Mickie was up on the road by this time. Katie Lee were, if I'm missing any of the girls that were like the workers, I apologize. But then there were the models, and it was like an unspoken agreement almost, or kind of, you were expected to not just train with them, but sort of help train them.
Exactly. That's like I remember, because I remember they watched our TV every Wednesday, WWE did, and they're, sending agents down, sending people down, and they're like, why is this girl, they're talking about me, they're like, why is she on TV and she's not under contract? You got to get your contracted girls. So I was like, well, then sign her. Like, and they just didn't, obviously Vince and Johnny Ace were in charge there. And then, and then it was basically like, 'cause I remember that was our territory. We built that territory. All of us did. It was freaking, like we were going out to 4th Street, like, we're the,
we were, I couldn't go to Walmart without somebody yelling Timmy Baltimore.
Like, oh, the good old days.
Oh man.
Yeah, and like building that. 'Cause I remember doing a lot of shows where Al's like, baby faces over here, heels over there. You're meeting in the ring. We didn't have our phones to text. I don't even think we had phones, but when we all went out, they were not in our hands.
No, that's why we could get away with so much.
Oh God, thank God we didn't have no social media back then.
Oh my Lord. Oh God.
I think that we grew up in the damn good era where it's like we didn't have any of that, because now everyone's like looking at their phones like, how over am I after my match? I'm like, you're not that over. We didn't have the Twitter machine, we didn't have the Insta, we didn't have any of that. I don't even think we had Facebook yet. Like,
no, we didn't.
Yeah,
and we had a hell of a lot of fun, and even when the people, like, it was a camaraderie. It was a fellowship in a lot of ways because nobody was
Mhm.
getting rich yet, and everybody was dedicated to the cause. And it was, I remember when I got into wrestling, I just wanted to live like in the wrestling business, like, and we did that. We had what, Monday practice, Tuesday promos, Wednesday TV, Thursday practice, or tape
And we
review.
watched our matches. Yeah.
I had Rip Rogers Derby City, which was a different TV on Thursdays. Saturdays or Fridays were in one town. Saturdays were in another. Sundays afternoon church
damn.
show. Like,
Mhm.
you can't be around those types of individuals, like, and not grow close. And yeah, it blew me away, the camaraderie, and I cherish it to this day.
Right.
It was the
And look,
coolest.
I mean, I look back because that's when Cody Rhodes came in and he became like the locker room leader, and Ryback was there and just doing pranks on each other. Like we were ripping each other. But remember when we all got Ryback arrested?
Yes.
And that Cap came in during class. They arrested Ryback.
Well, yeah. So
Oh,
American Dream Dusty Rhodes came down to visit,
yeah.
to look at the talent, and we used that opportunity on I believe it was a tape review day, to have one of the sheriffs that we knew in Louisville come in because I believe Ryback had confided in maybe Cliff Compton, Domino, that he had hit a car and hit the rear end of a car, like parked, and pulled away and left. Oh, that was the grounds for which he got arrested in front of everybody. It was a whole scene. It was pretty hilarious. Golly, what do you feel like you learned in OVW the most? Like, what's a lesson? What's something that really stuck with you?
I guess you learn the business more. I mean, we were building. I guess you learn how to build a territory, which no one knows how to do that these days. Everyone's all about themselves. I think more these days. Figure how many followers they got. Instead of in the back watching each other's matches, they're TikToking. In the locker room, or not. They're not learning from the people that came before them. They could care less. I mean, there's times where I go somewhere and they don't know who the I am. They don't know the TNA history. And it's just like, it bothers me, but then I'm like, I don't know. It's just a whole new other show too. But like, it's just, man, we were building something amazing. I think that was like our era, that OVW era. I think was like the last good era. Like I think after that, it was we were present. We all hung out. We were building each other up too, because like when you see people going up, we were like, yeah, awesome. We all gotta get together and watch SmackDown, Raw, and stuff. The pay-per-views, we'd all get together and watch, and it was just, man, I don't know, it was just a group of damn good people.
It was like wrestling college in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Learn how to work TV, man, and I loved.
Live the life. We still live the life.
We still live the life.
We all were in our. It's so crazy. We all were like in our mid-20s, I guess.
Yeah. You and I were kind of we were two of the wildest, for sure. For sure, there was always a story, but it was such a blast. You're right, and when you talk about building a territory, I guess that's a lot of like Al's, and I'm sure it happens with you, is lessons kind of are branded, story, gimmick, business, finger on our chest, you're not getting over. Like, okay, man, I'm doing my best. But building the territory meant that you are finding a way to be over in that community, over enough that people want to pay to see you. They know you're who you are and why you're there. What I really admire about you, Jesse, is that you had this character that was so unique. Nobody else was doing it. The party animal kick-ass chick, and it was mind-boggling how certain people didn't get it. And I couldn't imagine how you couldn't get this character, because and I almost felt like saying, just if you went out one night on the town with her, you'd get it. Can you talk a little bit about finding and honing the One Dirty Bitch character in OVW and what that process felt like?
Because I remember when I got there, yes, I was ODB, but I wasn't that character quite yet. And Danny Davis and Al Snow both said, "Who is One Dirty Bitch? Like, show us that you're a dirty bitch. We want to see it." So they let me be free. They let me, and I remember and hanging out too with like Joey Mercury, and like he would teach me and Tracy a lot, because then Tracy ended up hanging out in Louisville when she was full time with TNA, and we'd all like watch tapes together and like just watch what's going on, and it was just, so I was just having fun, and of course I was a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, but I didn't steal his gimmick. Even though I carried a cooler, but it was just different, and then just having fun with the, drinking Milwaukee's Best, the Beast. Good Lord. But that was a 30-pack. It was like $9.99 back then. I was like, shit. Oh, Lord.
One of the great lessons that Al had taught us was that, and without saying, it's like there's one rule, it's get over. And how many people did we see come and go in that OVW time period, whether they were signed? I mean, a lot of them were signed, and they just couldn't figure that out.
Yeah. Or they get called up, and then they were out. And it's weird, because I could tell. I'm like, they're getting called up. I'm like, they won't last. Because you see the gimmick, you're like, it's a gimmick that's probably going to not last a while. Like, you have to have a gimmick that could, evolve within the, years and stuff. And I think, it's just, man, I just had fun, I think. And just like, also too, what OVW taught me is to be a character. I mean, I can hang with anyone. I could, do all these moves and stuff. But I was like, you're a woman. Don't wrestle like a man with boobs. Like, don't, because he's, some of the girls would go in there and they chain wrestle. He's like, stop. He's like, stop doing that. He's like, we just saw that from the 5 matches. You guys have one, basically one women's match on a card. He's like, show me. He's like, be women, but still, wrestle like a, like a cat fight or nothing. But you still gotta, they gave us a platform where we were doing ladder matches. We had gimmick matches. I think what Katie Lee and Phoenix Cat had, I think they had like the ladder match, right?
And Serena, yeah.
And Serena,
yeah. And Serena, I think it was that 3-way. They killed it. They tore the house down. And I recall obviously realizing that we were one locker room, but the women's locker room had a different biology and dynamic as the than the men's somewhat sometimes. But you guys were really, really tight. Like when it was you, always looked at you and Beth really as like as in leadership roles, because I'll never forget one time there was I think you were there for this. I'm pretty sure you were there by this time, when there was a memo sent that the women we're no longer focusing on the women as wrestlers, but as garnish. That was the term. Do you remember this? Garnish. And I remember them that being said out loud in front of Beth, and Beth no-sold it like a true soldier. She just goes, okay. And she, like, that had to be gutting, but it was like having faith in what you are good at. Stop trying to hit the moving target. You are the target. And I think that's really the amount of shit you put up with in that era. Do you look back on that? And mind you, you suffered a lot so that women's wrestling can be what it is today. Do you feel that impact that you had?
Yeah, I kind of do. I look back at, like, we were starting that evolution kind of like an OVW, you know, like we were wrestling. And then, so I remember, as I'm just going to bring up this little story too, when you said garnish. So I remember when WWE was bringing when they bought ECW and then bringing it to WWE. And I remember the girls, so it ended up being Brooke Adams, Kelly, and Layla, like the dancers. And then Stephanie McMahon, I remember, called OVW, and she was looking for like more rougher women that were gonna like kind of take over and like beat those girls up. And so it was like me, Beth Phoenix, Katie Lee, I think, was it Victoria, Alicia Fox? I think us four, and Beth wanted nothing to do with it, but she just went along with it. Like we had to dress more like sexier and stuff, and so we did like videos and pre-tapes and sent it, but then obviously it didn't work out. But it's just funny how like when you said garnish, I was like, that kind of popped up in my head. I'm like, yeah, they kind of wanted us to be these sexy girls, but still like, hey, get off our territory kind of thing. Yeah, just like definitely, I think we started something that wasn't even there yet. Because I think at that time, it was like, what, 06, 07? Because weren't the women there were kind of like starting, like, you got Trish and Lita, but then they were kind of leaving.
And then you had Mickie.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie or Victoria.
Yeah, Lisa Marie was there, and then Michelle McCool and Molly, and but then they started turning the women. Like, remember doing like, instead of 8 minutes, oh, now you guys have 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like Tori Wilson, Stacey Keebler, like then they were doing more like, you know, like bikini matches and super soakers in the ring. I remember that they were kind of starting to do, which kind of came to OVW, because remember we started doing some weird stuff like at Six Flags shows.
Yes,
we weren't having matches; we were having the Miss OVW contest.
Totally, I was totally the mic stand for those.
So that was kind of like the diva era, like that was just big talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. It was kind of they were changing. I think WWE was changing the women's division in OVW at the time. They're like, we want to see this more.
They wanted kind of segments.
Yeah.
And to Al's credit, and I remember this because again, I was like in the middle of it. There was always an angle, obviously, coming out of it. There was always you crashing whatever it was, the pajama party or the Halloween costume or the beach blast, whatever. And somebody would, Katie Lee would give you her finish or what, but there was always something coming out of it to build towards a blow off. And, I find it so interesting because I think back to you. I don't ever remember you being like a move person. You're saying at one point in your career, you were very like move oriented. I remember you having like the fall away and the nip up and bam.
Well, everyone does now. I'm like, damn, I was doing that back in 03.
Right.
Fall away slam, kip up. Now I'm like, everyone.
The rusty trombone, Santino stole that from you.
Santino, so.
Just ahead of your time. And that's like, I look at the landscape of women's wrestling now, and it would be ODB. You would have fit in back then very easily, but now it's like a no-brainer. Like,
God dang it.
Do you think about that? Or you? I know you can't harbor things or think too much, but how do you feel about what women's wrestling has become? And is there a little bit of, man, I wish, or are you happy just to see it that way?
I'm kind of both. I'm like, I know I look, because when I left full-time TNA in 2014, and then I started my, other journey that I had, and it's like, what would have happened if I went to left, but then I probably wouldn't have what I have now. Then I look at all these wrestlers now, it's like, and I still would have fit in. Like, God damn it. Like, even though I'm a little older now, but I'm like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think. How would you pitch? Give me like a one sentence pitch of the ODB character? Like an interesting sentence or one phrase pitch. Like, who's ODB?
I don't give a
Yeah, I would say, yeah, like I would say, cross country chick, truck driver, rodeo ass kicker. So you know what I mean? Like,
one bad mother trucker. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Large Marge coming at you.
And what, you know, why do you think the people you came into OVW as a heel and throughout TNA you were a heel at times, but you're a baby face. Like, I know I hate to tell you, unless you know, but you're a baby face.
Yeah.
Why do you think the people latched on to you so easily?
I was relatable, definitely, because I didn't look like the other girls and all that stuff. And then I think when I came out, and then I started doing more of like my promos and stuff. And well, looking back at some of my promos when I first started TNA, I was like, they let me say that. Like some of the stuff, I was like, I can't even watch myself sometimes. I'm like, good Lord.
Why was it? Was it like unsavory or was?
Yeah, I'm just like, why would I say that? Like, yeah. But like this, I think, yeah, because I think the guys liked it because they're like, man, she could have a beer with me, and then the wife would be like, hell yeah, she could, and I'd want a beer with her too. And it was just, I think that was just naturally me because, yes, I was a TNA wrestler, on TV every week, but I was also coming home and bartending at the local bar down the street from my house. So I stayed like, even though I was making my TNA money, but it was like I still lived a life where like I liked hanging out with, like getting home, hanging out with my neighbors, having a bonfire, having drinks in the garage, and then picking up a bartending shift. And then I would actually bartend while Thursday nights were going on, and they're like, how can you be here and there? And I'm like, it's tape, dumbass.
I'm not going to break your brain by explaining this to you. Have another beer. What was that? I remember that bar because we went. I know you kept it separate a lot of times, but I think that we partied there a few times. I think. Yeah, I do recall that. Who do you think? Who could put them down the most? Like, who could really put it down?
In OVW?
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah, who could hang? Like, who were the hang? Like, because it was always me, you, Cody,
Spears.
Always hanging out. Spears.
Hammer was in. It's Charles Evans sometimes was in the mix. Oleg Vladimir was a good time. Golly, Milena Roca was fun.
Yeah.
was fun.
Like, or Serena, she could hang with me too. She was wild.
Oh yeah, Serena's a dark horse on that account, or she was. I don't think that's the case anymore. But I look back on that and I wonder, was that like did I have a rep and was that good or bad? Do you ever think about that?
No, right? Well, especially too, like, now that I'm married, we'll go, like I'll do some wrestling conventions and they'll start bringing up stories. I'm like, really? He's like, you were wild, weren't you? I'm like, not in a bad wild. We just had, I didn't harm anyone.
No, you didn't. No, just by proxy. Yeah. And that's the thing too. In Louisville, the strip clubs and the bars were open until 4 a.m. That was a problem.
Crazy coconuts, the green light. It was always someone's birthday, remember? I think it was your birthday for a while.
It was always my birthday. It was my birthday every Wednesday. Wow. Unsavory. Talk about unsavory.
I remember too, like doing those the Six Flags shows were awesome.
Yeah.
We drew a lot, and then they'd always have a WWE superstar that comes in, remember? Yeah. And then whoever it was would always go to 4th Street and get like a table or VIP room, and then we'd all go hang out with them.
Act over. Which is an oxymoron, but yeah, we'd get the bottle service because God, do you remember Chris Benoit was there 10 days before the whole deal? Do you
Was
remember
it
that?
Oh,
Yeah. He was there 10 days before at a Six Flags show. He wrestled Mike Cruel. And we went to Diamonds, I believe, which was a pool club, if you remember. And I think Kevin Furtig may have driven him, or it was 10 days, which is
that was 10 days.
crazy. I
Yeah, I mean, that day, hoofda. Yeah.
remember some of my fond memories of Six Flags. There was I'd like to paint this picture for the people. I think it was Katie Lee, because you guys had a hot feud going for months
Yeah.
into the summer. And it started with who was going to be Miss OVW, and then the title. And her thing was because she was English and proper, and she was
Wow.
just kind of like a self-righteous. She was like, "You're gross, nobody
You like
loves you, you'll
that?
never be beautiful." And you're like, "Shut up, bitch, bam." And for the match, this is the coolest thing ever. Six Flags. So if you can imagine, Six Flags we set up a ring inside the old Indiana Jones show where the guys would do the stunts. So it's like this big set and then stadium seating, and there's a ring in the middle. And Katie Lee comes out and she's ready for battle. And then all of a sudden you hear whoop, 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 whoop. Cop car pulls up. We hit "I'm Bossy" by Khalees. Great, one of the best wrestling theme songs.
Yeah,
and
that
most
was my theme song.
ever. And out hops ODB in a Dios Department of Corrections jumpsuit, handcuffed on the cop car. It was the coolest entrance. Like, that was big league.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Because I wish I had video of that too. I remember because Katie Lee, the whole point of the whole Miss OVW was to get me as a big baby face and her more of a heel. And then she got me arrested because we pitched that to Al Snow. Like, we pitched that whole thing. I'm like, I want to come in with a cop car. I want to get you arrested. I think that'd be awesome. He's like, all right, how do we get there? So we were doing all the stuff. And then I remember that cop's name.
Yancey.
Yeah, and so we're sitting there. He's getting like the signal or something. He had his walkie-talkie, so Al must have the other walkie-talkie. So I'm literally in the back of a cop car, handcuffed for a while.
Somebody went long, or it might have been. Was it the raining episode? Was it the raining one? Was it raining?
Maybe it was delayed. I'm like, is this a rib? I'm like, what the hell? I'm sitting behind in my red jumpsuit, handcuffed. Jesus Christ. I'm like, all righty. Not even, we're just bullshit with the cop. And then it's like, all right, it's time. And then, so we do that. And because remember, they were ringing the bell like they're starting the match. But then I come in, and it was, who else got goosebumps talking about it? It was just badass. And he comes around, opens the door, and I'm like jumping. He's like, don't move. I can't get you. I was so blown up. And then I run in. I do my little comeback, bam, 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 kip up, and then I don't even know what my finisher was. Did that, and then 1, 2, 3 became the OVW champ.
That's all we needed.
And had the beer. I was so I'm blowing up just talking about it. Like, I was so blown up. I was like, oh my god,
that was such a good piece of business, and I feel like that's the gift. I mean, OVW gave a lot of gifts to and even though we were in different positions, we were also, there were some similarities in that we were there on our own dime. We figured out a way to show them we had something to offer, and we were different.
Now talking about with you, it's kind of cool to like let it out. My got thrown out of the women's locker room. Sable stuck up for me. Lita walking out, and she just like looked at me and relax. I can't do a moonsault. I tried. I went up to Triple H. Yeah, he's like, I love the character, but unfortunately, Vince does not see anything.
I'd imagine he'd probably be like, what woman acts that way?
Before we started that Bound for Glory, the crown, the first ever knockout champ, we were standing there. We're like, we did it, girls. Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter, Bruce Prichard was coming in, and then Hogan and Bischoff. No one knew who was in charge. What is this? You want me to sign a piece of paper that has no numbers? He's like, well, where else are you gonna go? I'm like, I didn't want my wrestling career to be over. That was the worst knockout match I've ever seen. Someone's telling me, get the out of here before it ruins you mentally more.
Right, it does more damage than when I got here.
Could see myself doing like another run. Carlos, TNA president, came by because we've never met.
You're wild. You're the one dirty
Yeah, I'm
man.
wild.
The ODB. Bam.
I'm like, I need a f***ing beer. But it was
The ODB.
so,
This.
it's like, yes,
All of that.
So what was the question? I forget.
Like, shut up, bitch. Bam. Hey, you jabronis. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to click subscribe to the YouTube channel and podcast. This has been LiMPiN Ain't Easy. It's wrestling as real as it gets.